We should have known it wouldn't be easy, that there would be problems. Fellow Toastmasters, guests. It was 1993. We had just bought a new house, my wife and my two daughters who were about 10 and 13 years old. It was in a development called Queens River. Queens River was a pretty upscale development. It had nice rolling hills that were all finely mowed and hedges that were well done. All the telephone lines were underneath the roads and the driveways, and beautiful colonial houses. We should have known there'd be some issues. The first issue was my daughter's pets. Now, for a long time they had these pets. These pets had been dressed up, they'd been married, they took trips. They did all those things that girls do with chickens. We had about 10 or 15 chickens. And we brought those with us into this exclusive neighborhood. And what happened was that the chickens were very happy. We let them free range. We don't put them in a coop. But at night, the hens might go into the hen house, but the roosters go to the top of the trees. And the next morning, they would start crowing at 4 to 5 o'clock. And it was loud. We didn't know that Queens River even had a call tree. But we realized in those next 2 days that telephone messages were going back and forth. Who are these new people? What do they think they're doing? They have chickens and roosters. But we have a sense of humor. So we found out about that and we decided, we haven't met these people. We could have a real good time if we sent them invitations for, of course, a chicken barbecue. Nice little postcards with an axe and a piece of wood. But we finally got rid of the roosters because we felt we need to try to fill in a little bit. But then there was the issue with the lawn. Every piece of land was 1 to 2 acres, including ours. And the guy who mowed all these lawns was the local dairy farmer. He wasn't making much money on milk, but he was sure milking us for a lawn mowing. And he looked more like Popeye. He didn't sit on a mower. He had these huge muscles, and he had a 50-inch wide mower, and he'd zoom back and forth across our lawn. $100 every week or week and a half in the spring. I'm cheap. I am so cheap. I said, wait a minute, I got a mower. I got 2 daughters. Bingo, there's a solution. Right. Do any of you have daughters? How do you get them to do anything? There ain't no way. It's not going to happen. So what had to happen is every day when I rushed home from work, I'd get on my mower and I'd mow a little patch. A few days later when it stopped raining, mow some more, mow some more. So my lawn was more like some of it this big, some of it this tall, some of it this tall. And then I started to see these beautiful flowers, Queen Anne's lace, Joe Pyeweed, goldenrod, and I said, I can't mow that. It was a beautiful orchid, which was native here. So I'd go around it and leave these little places of these wildflowers. The guy next door, he works at ChemLawn. So he comes over and he says, I got plenty of herbicide, I can help you out here, I'll just herbicide all these places you're having problems with. But I explained to him that our well was right underneath this lawn and we didn't want herbicide there either. So he went away, I'm sure disappointed. But then as I'm mowing, I started to notice that I was mowing along, I see all these little grasshoppers and these crickets just horrified, scrambling for their life. And I need to tell you, 90% of them probably didn't make it when they came through. And on top of that, there were praying mantis who were the predators for these little bugs. And then on top of those, I'd see the dragonflies going above, and they're predators for these insects. And then there were swallows. And then I even had a nighthawk come by once, and swallows. I said, I know what this is. I've seen this before. It's a food chain. It's a food chain. So I said, well, that's great. I love food chains. I'm going to let this one be. So what happened after that is we'd sit on the porch and we would watch our food chain in action, and then bunnies would run by. And then we had a red fox start its den underneath our juniper tree. In the morning, we'd see the kits just running around, having a great time, while mom or dad going, taking off to get some more food for the kids. This we loved. We watched this often. I had a little pool there. And this is our third problem, cats. Had a little pool here and a big pool in the back. And the pool started to attract frogs, various types of snakes. There was even a big turtle that came up and would lay his eggs in the sandy soil next door. And goldfish, and the cats, neighborhood cats would come over. And they were a problem because they're extremely predatory. In fact, with the little baby birds, they usually get about 40% of the baby birds that fall out of the nest are going to cats. So we had a problem with that. So we chased the cats away. And then we have have-a-heart traps. I said, here's what we can do. Put a have-a-heart trap out there, catch a cat. And then we'll take and put around his neck a little sign saying, please help me, keep me in, I don't want to kill anymore. You just let them go home. This is how we think. We never really did that, but there's only one cat, a feral cat, that comes around once in a while, and he really hasn't hurt the animals too much. We can live with one cat. But these animals also, I think, become our friends. The hummingbirds now, there's 3 of them that come back every year. When we sit on the front porch, they'll come right in front of our faces. They'll feed, and they'll be so comfortable around us than they never were before. And we have 4 big bullfrogs. We call them our bubbas. And they live in our big pool in the back. People think it's strange that we don't put all these chemicals in to kill everything in there, but we love these guys. They sit on the skimmer where the water goes in, and they just have the bugs come to them. They got a really easy life. In the wintertime, they live on the bottom of our pool. They hibernate in the bottom and come up in the spring. So we get to know these. But I'm afraid we can't go back. We can't go back to the way it was. We can't get on the mower and mow and start to kill all these animals and change what we see. But we want to make sure our neighbors realize that we feel for them to have to put up with us. We feel for them because they don't understand what we're all about. They think we're just slackers, most likely. Oh, these guys never mow their lawns. There's a method to our madness. So my wife gave me a sign to put up on our lawn. She had it made, and she gave it to me for Christmas. And so as soon as it gets a little bit nicer out, we're going to put up the sign. And I brought the sign in so that to show you what she did. And this will be in front of our house as soon as it gets a little warmer. Mr. Toastmaster.